What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolfcryer here, and welcome to another ARPG update. In today's video, we're going to be discussing that development blog that Chris Wilson put out for Path of Exile, as well as the Q&A that came out this week. So first up, let's talk about the development blog put out by Chris this week. Grinding Gear Games and Chris Wilson know that Synthesis struggled to captivate a chunk of Path of Exile players, citing a poor, unfinished product at launch. The team, and especially Chris, are fully aware of this fact, and they seem genuinely willing to accept responsibility for this. I do suggest reading the full post on the main website, as many game companies are, in my opinion, not as transparent nor as frank in their communications to the communities that they serve. Whether you agree with the sentiment displayed within this post or not, very few companies out there right now come right out and announce that they messed up and are working to fix that said mess up. Grinding Gear Games is not perfect. No person or company on this planet is. And in that same vein, not all people will be happy with the current state or direction of any game out there. That's just not a possibility. We as people have differing opinions and desires that can never fully align with one another. And my suggestion is that if it's a game that you are really passionate about, find a way to offer criticism and suggestions in a way that doesn't detract from the actual point you wish to make. If it isn't addressed to your satisfaction and is something you simply cannot get over, then just move on. There are tons of games out there. But I personally am wicked proud to see this company actually put out this statement and Chris go over the reasons why Synthesis flopped, why it was not well received amongst everybody in this great community for Path of Exile players. Like I said, it's not something you normally see out of a game company, and that's why I truly still believe that Grinding Gear Games is one of the best companies out there. And I do strongly suggest that you read this whole blog and make your own opinions about it. With that being said, one thing that Chris did bring up during this Q&A is that Synthesis will not be going into the core game. Although I do expect that at least some parts of this league will be revisited at some point in the future, just as Bestiary was revamped and added to the core game. I personally liked some aspects of Synthesis League, but believe that the majority of it was in a state that this was simply the best decision at the moment. And hopefully in the future they do revisit it, because I think that the Memory Nexus was pretty awesome. I think synthesizing items and fractured items was kind of a flop, and I think that the Memory Nexus only became awesome after the couple of patches that they made since the launch of this league. So hopefully this can be looked at and some of it can be salvaged, because overall it had a pretty cool concept. But now we're going to jump right into the Q&A. We're actually going to focus on 3 things that I took from this Q&A to be the absolute most important as far as impacting the game itself. The rest of it, like I said, with the development blog, you can view the entire Q&A over on Path of Exile's main website, and I strongly suggest it because it is pretty expansive. All right, number 1. There doesn't seem to be any current plans to remove Betrayal Veiled crafting progression. Though it isn't out of the question to see some sort of updates in the future regarding veiled items, currently I think that tying a necessary component of crafting within a game that is quite crafting heavy to a specific portion of the game seems counterintuitive to what the game wants to do. Crafting recipes being acquired through pure RNG just doesn't seem like a great system. I personally do not mind Betrayal for the most part. It definitely has its place in the core game, but I will say that I played a substantial amount of more time during the Synthesis League than I did during the Betrayal League. And now, due to the randomness of Syndicate spawns, I have less crafting recipes in this league than I did in that previous league. And that doesn't seem like a great thing. This still isn't something that breaks the game for me or anything like that, but I will say that I was hoping to see this addressed. But alas, it would appear that isn't going to happen anytime soon. And there are no plans to implement any type of trading system or auction house within Path of Exile. Now, this is a bone of contention among players, as many players would prefer a much faster way to trade in the game. While I personally have not encountered a ton of issues with trading, and it does not consume all that much of my playtime in the game, at least not to the point where I find it to be some sort of unbearable process, I do understand how making some sort of in-game system would improve the overall trading experience. There are definitely times when even I have whispered 10 to 12 players who appear as online just to finally get one item. And that's usually a map. And a system such as an auction house would really work to eliminate this hassle. Hopefully at some point in the future this can be looked at once again, but as for now, the Trade Manifesto that was revealed back in November of 2018 stands. There will be no auction house for Path of Exile. And the last thing we're going to be touching on today is the next league. Seems like it's going to be a much simpler league, more reminiscent of the Breach, Essence, and Abyss leagues. This is a bit refreshing after the last few content-heavy leagues, especially with all of the recent league mechanics that have gone into the core game as of Betrayal. This might just be what Path of Exile needs, both now to generate a bit of short-term interest and to generate more hype for whatever the next larger, more complex league mechanic that the team might be working on. I think overall that the original plan for content with leagues that contained more complex mechanics spread out a bit further was more beneficial to both the community and the development team. I can understand the business aspect of these big, magnificent expansions every 3 to 4 months, but I think that the team needs to take quality into account as well. Releasing smaller leagues in between these larger ones could give the team the opportunity to put more of a focus into fine-tuning content as far as current systems, upgrading certain graphics to match the game we know today, and addressing community concerns. And while I believe that the development team is consistently trying to produce great content for Path of Exile, Synthesis showed us all that the current gung-ho nature of full expansions coming out every single league might have been a tad bit overzealous. I will continue to enjoy Path of Exile as I have for the last few years, even if, and maybe even especially if, they slow it down a bit with the new league mechanics. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I always greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know down in that comment section down below your thoughts on the development blog from Chris Wilson as well as the Q&A. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so very much, and you have a fantastic day. Peace.